There is no reason to be afraid of this new law, so long as people are not taking part in acts such as splitting up the country, treason, subversion, organizing terrorist activities, and colluding with foreign forces to interfere with the internal affairs of Hong Kong. Tung Chee-hwa, former chief executive of the Hong Kong SAR, was quoted in media reports on Monday. "We can't allow Hong Kong to become an anti-China base within the country's national security framework." Tung has been repeatedly featured on the CCP mouthpiece, the Global Times, to promote the Hong Kong national security law. While the law was passed on June 30th, the full text of the law was released in the early morning of July 1st, the same day as the 23rd anniversary of Hong Kong's handover. Tung and other former Hong Kong chief executive Leung Chun-ying founded the Hong Kong Coalition on May 5, 2020. According to its website, the coalition's mission is to help Hong Kong to adhere to, quote, one country, two systems, to overcome difficulties and reignite its past glory. Tung Chee-hwa was awarded the national honor title Outstanding Contributor to One Country, Two Systems in September 2019 by the Standing Committee of the CCP National People's Congress. Ironically, the coalition has been at the forefront of promoting the national security law, which is the nail on the coffin for one country, two systems, based on global consensus. Last month on June 10th, the coalition held a symposium on Hong Kong's national security legislation. According to Chinese reports, 39 co-sponsors of the coalition from, quote, political, business, financial, legal, educational, medical, accounting, technological, cultural, religious, youth, labor, social, and regional groups also attended the symposium to speak one by one. Unsurprisingly, this symposium was quickly picked up by the pro-CCP Hong Kong media and reprinted in the Global Times. Branded as an event of promoting the national security law, the Global Times titled the article as, quote, "The national security law has profound meanings to Hong Kong's return to the right track." Many, however, believe the event sounded like a typical propaganda event. This isn't the first time Tung championed CCP policies in Hong Kong or materially contributed to China's failure to comply with the Joint Declaration or the Basic Law. Back in the late 2002, following the direction of the then head of CCP, Jiang Zemin, Tung pushed for the national security legislation to implement Article 23 of the Hong Kong Basic Law shortly after he started his second term. Article 23 states that Hong Kong, quote, shall enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the people's central government, or theft of state secrets to prohibit foreign political organizations or bodies from conducting political activities in the region, and to prohibit political organizations or bodies of the region from establishing ties with foreign political organizations or bodies. In reality, Article 23 targets opposing groups such as the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China and Falun Gong. The Hong Kong Alliance is an organization established in 1989 in British Hong Kong following violent protests in Tiananmen Square, and Falun Gong is an ancient meditation practice following the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. But although Falun Gong has been persecuted in mainland China, it has remained legal in Hong Kong. Because Hong Kongers have stood with the two organizations and their own freedom, see on the march with 500,000 Hong Kongers on July 1, 2003, the Hong Kong government shelved the law as a result. Tung eventually resigned in 2005 before his second term expired in 2007. Tung is the eldest son of the Chinese shipping magnate Tung Chao-yung, who founded the Orient Overseas Container Line, otherwise known as OOCL. After his father's death in 1981, Tung took over the family business, but 4 years later teetered on the edge of bankruptcy with OOCL. Seeking help, Tung went to Xu Jiatun, the director of the Hong Kong branch of the Xinhua News Agency and the predecessor of the Hong Kong Liaison Office. With such status, Xu reported to Beijing, pulled funds from the Ministry of Transportation, and gave the money to Tung in 1986 via Henry Fuk Ying Tung. But in 2017, OOCL International was acquired by the COSCO Shipping Holdings, a company with a CCP background. During the anti-extradition movement in 2019, Tung came forward to attack Taiwan and the US on behalf of the CCP, attributing spontaneous Hong Kong protests to the support of the United States and Taiwan. Tung's other key alignment with the CCP to curtail Hong Kongers' freedom is to tighten the grip on Falun Gong. Reuters reported on May 2001 that Tung called Falun Gong, quote, a bit of a cult, to align with the mainland CCP policy of persecution. In a subsequent speech at the Hong Kong Legislative Council on June 14, 2001, he called Falun Gong, quote, undoubtedly a cult, even though the Falun Gong was legal in Hong Kong. On September 2, 2001, Wen Wei Pao organized a large anti-cult exhibition in Hong Kong, featuring Falun Gong and repeating the CCP lies such as the self-immolation hoax on Tiananmen Square. Hong Kong Falun Gong practitioners held a peaceful protest outside the venue of exhibition the next day. The Hong Kong police arrested more than 10 practitioners who were doing peaceful meditation. This marked the first time Hong Kong police arrested a Falun Gong practitioner. In 2002, Jiang Zemin issued a secret order to kill Falun Gong practitioners without pardon. On the morning of March 14, 2002, to protest, 4 Swiss Falun Gong practitioners and 12 Hong Kong practitioners held a hunger strike in front of the Hong Kong Liaison Office. Around 1 p.m., Hong Kong police deployed a large number of policemen to remove and detain practitioners with violence. At least 1 Swiss practitioner and 8 Hong Kong practitioners were injured by police violence.